I was listening to a Spanish priest, or a Mexican priest. He runs a Spanish podcast, and he was just commenting on American Magazine's article by Cardinal McElroy on the radical inclusion of the ABCD, category in the church. And I was just going through it, and I suppose I'd heard it all before, and I didn't think too much about it. And I was just turning it off, and then I was just thinking, can you imagine if the headline read, Cardinal McElroy on the radical inclusion for traditional Catholics in the Catholic Church? I said, yeah, wouldn't that be an interesting article to have? At the moment, with Traditionis Custodes nearly 2 years old, you can't advertise. You can't advertise traditional Latin masses in parish bulletins. You can't have it in the parish churches. No new groups. And if you applied that logic from Traditionis Custodes to what Cardinal McElroy is pushing, they would be all up in arms. You're anti this, you're anti that, and all that. And yet they have the nerve as such to, on one side, call for radical inclusion, and on the other side, call for radical exclusion. Because that's what they've done. It's radical exclusion of certain Catholics who identify as such. That love the traditions of the Catholic Church, how the Catholic Church expressed itself for well over 1,000 years. It's a very bizarre time in the church. And I just thought, what if the headline read, Cardinal McElroy on radical inclusion for traditional Catholics in the Catholic Church? I think the church needs to own up and say, look, this is silly season in the church. This is really silly season. It's crazy what they are doing. On the one side, you'll have a newly created cardinal calling for radical inclusion. And on the other side, if somebody turned up and said, can we have mass like our grandparents used to go to, and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents, like the mass like the Irish had during penal times, the mass of the Council of Trent, the mass of the First Vatican Council, the mass of the Second Vatican Council, because people remember all during Second Vatican Council, the mass that was said was the Tridentine Mass. Can we have that? Oh, no. That's gone. No. It's not, we don't, radical inclusion doesn't include you, traditional Catholics. It includes other people, but not you. So I think if the church wants to be coherent in this synodal process, and if they want to go down talking about radical inclusion, you better look in the mirror what you're doing to certain people in the church that, love the faith. And, look in the mirror, what are you doing? Like, is it radical inclusion or what? What does radical inclusion actually mean? Shouldn't we be radically inclusive about the traditional teachings of the Catholic Church? Just a question. Anyway, just that thought came to mind when I saw that headline. I just said, they talk about radical inclusion, but people looking at that in the church say, like, please, God bless, take care, bye-bye.